I will be representing Starbucks as Kevin Johnson, the CEO of the company. The crisis situation that is occurring is that two black men were arrested for sitting in the coffee shop, even though they weren't causing any disturbances. This crisis happened on Tuesday, April 17th, 2018. CEO Kevin Johnson was the first person to formally speak out on this crisis. He was definitely the right person to handle this because he's the CEO of the company, which shows that Starbucks is taking this very seriously. The main thing that Starbucks did that was effective was to plan and then later execute a training on racial bias. This was executed a few days ago. All Starbucks stores were closed for part of the day. This was a great move on Johnson's part because it showed dedication and a desire to actually change. This crisis briefing will be taking place on April 25th. This will have given Starbucks enough time to figure out what they're going to do to actually make a difference and remedy these problems. The strategies that I will use that will be different than the ones used in the actual crisis briefing will be compensation, prevention, and shifting the blame. The most important image repair strategy used in this briefing will be shifting the blame. CEO Kevin Johnson will shift the blame from himself to the employee who actually called in the report. He didn't do this in the real crisis briefing. The next image repair strategy that will be the most important is prevention. Even though the blame should be mostly on the employee, preventing future employees, like the one who called in the racist report, is important. The audience here is anyone who drinks at Starbucks or cares about racial inequality. Also, the media will obviously be there, and they will be the ones who are making sure that this information is relayed to those people who drink coffee. Ensuring the blame is put on someone and that consequences are in place is very important to make sure that the audience knows that this is a problem that Johnson is taking very seriously. I will be starting my crisis briefing now. It has been several weeks since the racial incident that took place at a Philadelphia Starbucks. After meeting with my team and doing extensive research, we are confident that we have come to a conclusion that will ensure that this kind of behavior never happens at a Starbucks again. Starbucks has always strived to create equality. We have already accomplished 100% equal pay for all of our employers, and this has been proved by CNN Money. We are deeply sorry for the emotional and physical trauma that has been inflicted on these two black men only because they wanted to get a cup of coffee. We are confident that an incident like this will never happen at a Starbucks again. First, I want to take a look at what happened on that fateful day, which was April 17th, 2018. A Starbucks employee called in a complaint against two black men who were waiting for a business associate before they ordered. The employee stated that the men were refusing to leave and were making her uncomfortable, even though they were only waiting for their business associate. The employee told the men that they couldn't use the restroom unless they were ordering something, which again they just stated that they were waiting for their business associate before they ordered. It was after this encounter that the employee called the cops. Once cops arrived, the two black men were compliant and answered all the questions, but still refused to leave because they knew that they had done nothing wrong. When their business associate arrived and stated that racism was taking place, as it was, and that they were going somewhere else, the cops arrested the two black men, according to the Chicago Tribune. This incident is not representative of Starbucks at all. It represents racism and discrimination, which we do not stand for. We have taken measures and fired the employee who called in the report. We would also like to say that the police should be heavily scrutinized in this situation because they acted carelessly. First, I again just want to stress how deeply sorry I am for this event that has taken place. This isn't the type of behavior that Starbucks condones at all, and we plan to take steps to make sure that nothing like this ever happens again. I want to take a minute to apologize to the millions of people out there who are disappointed in the actions taken by the Starbucks employee. There is no one more upset by this than I am. We plan on taking immediate action in order to remedy the situation and ensure that it doesn't happen again. The Starbucks employee has been fired. We do not condone or tolerate racism, and we want to stress that her actions are not representative of Starbucks as a whole. We've also filed complaints against the police officers who were at the scene. These police officers acted carelessly and had been trained for situations like this, and they did not use their training to their advantage. This shouldn't have happened, and the officers are partly to blame. We realize that part of the blame must be put on our private restrooms as well. We have made all our restrooms open to the public now so that anyone, whether they're customers or not, can use them. We've decided to have a nationwide Starbucks training. Employees will have open and race-based discussions, and we hope that this will help them to realize that their actions have consequences. The curriculum is expertly developed to help employees accept diversity and inclusion, which has been verified by UPI. We have offered full compensation for emotional and physical damages and trauma to the 2 men who were falsely arrested in our store. We are aware that no amount of money is going to make up for the fact that these 2 men were discriminated against, but we would like to take responsibility for the actions that took place in our store and try to help them out. And lastly, we would also just like to stress how committed we are to equality. We have 100% gender and pay equality, and we're going to use the strategies that we use to implement pay equality to help implement racial bias training. We understand that some of you are probably thinking, well, we hired this employee, so it's our fault. But we did hire the employee, but we could not have known that she was going to be discriminating against black men. Some things are just simply out of our control. And we also understand that people probably have some doubts about our new training implementations. But we are hopeful that our small gesture and our small part in helping to train our employees will create a small step towards other companies wanting to implement racial bias training. Having fully explained our plan of attack and how to combat discrimination, I would just like to conclude. I would again like to express my deepest apologies for the events that took place on April 17th at the Starbucks in Philadelphia. These actions are reprehensible, and we are taking full responsibility for them. We ask for your forgiveness and help in making sure that this never happens again. We have confidence that between firing the staffer and our new training implementations, that we can ensure that this behavior never happens at a Starbucks again. Thank you.